is me. At 18 months, in my mom's bib and wig. Fast forward to the age of 7, I was posed with a question that no motivational speech had prepared me for. Why must I become a lawyer if I do not wish to? For clarity, my mother is a lawyer, an exceptional one, I must add. And as a result, I was raised in an environment where articulation was currency and rebuttals were basically a second language. Therefore, it would have been effortless to inherit the wings that my roots had presented before me. It would have been convenient to accept the trajectory laid out before me. But even at 7, as the strong-headed little girl that I was unsettled by the assumption that inheritance must dictate aspiration. I do not recount this anecdote to suggest defiance, no. Nor do I propose that roots are burdens. Rather, I was experiencing something far more significant. I was inhabiting the space between soil and sky. That journey from courtroom expectation to architectural ambition was neither immediate nor linear. But it was within that questioning, within that uncertain formative interval, that I discovered something profound. Growth does not occur solely in the soil, nor does it begin in the sky. It actually unfolds in the space between them. I am Chimbisoma Eneda, and today I invite you all to consider the significance of the space between soil and sky. Consider bamboo. Certain species of bamboo grow up to 91 centimeters every day, nearly 1 meter every 24 hours, and approximately 3.8 centimeters every hour. To the observer, it appears miraculous, sudden, extraordinary. But what is rarely mentioned is this. Bamboo spends 3 to 5 years developing an underground root system. 3 to 5 years. So for over 1,000 days, there is no visible breakthrough, no towering stalk, no applause-worthy growth. Only strengthening, only preparation, only formation beneath the soil. The truth, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are all fascinated by the 91 centimeters, but we fail to be patient with the 1,000 days. The space between soil and sky is not empty. It is active and it is demanding, trust me. It is where foundations are interrogated, identities are examined, ambitions are refined. We often rush towards visibility, towards titles, achievements, declarations of this is who I am. But clarity is rarely immediate. It is constructed. At 7, I questioned whether I had to inherit a profession simply because it was rooted in my household. The irony to it all is that that question did not instantly produce an answer. It produced a season of doubt, a season of exploration, a season of reflection, but most importantly, a season of the space between expectation and reality. Most young people are not afraid of failure. They are afraid of questioning, afraid of interrogating what has been handed to them, because then they from. But the truth is that questioning is not rebellion. It is refinement. Today, at 15, I aspire to become an architect, and perhaps that is fitting. Why? Because architecture is not just simply about height, it is about structure. It is about load-bearing calculations. It is about foundations that must withstand pressure long before a building ever reaches the sky. We celebrate the sky, the visible achievements, the flights, the success. But we underestimate the space where resilience is engineered, the space where discipline is cultivated, the space where we learn not only what we can do, but who we are. So no, I do not resent the soil. I do not worship the sky. I simply honor space. The space where questions are not silenced, but enhanced. The space where pressure does not crush, but constructs. The space where identities are not inherited, but examined. Why, you might ask? Because flight without formation is fragile, and height without foundation is hazardous. We are in such a hurry to rise that we forget to root deeper. We are in such a hurry to declare who we will become that we forget the discipline of becoming. Bamboo does not apologize for its 1,000 unseen days, and neither should you, or you, or you, or me. If you are in a space where nothing seems visible, where growth feels slow, where answers feel unfinished, do not mistake invisibility for stagnation. The soil is working, the structure is forming, trust me, and the calculations are being made. And when you rise, rise not because you were hurried, but because you were prepared. And this is the power of the space between soil and sky. Thank you.